Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision 2025 related video here on my channel, and another sort of reaction video as well, because right now I'm about to listen to snippets of all of the songs in contention for Poland with regards to the upcoming edition of the ESC, which as we all know will take place this May in Basel, Switzerland. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So I have a video loaded up and ready to go, which is somebody's ranking of the 10 tracks involved in the upcoming Polish selection for this year's Eurovision. It's called Wielki Finał Polskich Kwalifikacji, and it's going to take place on February the 14th. There was a submission period. 224 entries were received by the broadcaster TVP. The entries were selected by a jury panel made up of people at the broadcaster, along with music industry professionals and Eurovision fans. In the first phase of the process, 25 entries were shortlisted based on the 10 favourites of each jury member, and performed at an audition round held on December the 19th in Warsaw last year. 10 finalists plus 2 backups were unanimously selected from these by the jury panel and announced on January the 14th, which was 10 days ago at the time of this recording. We've known the lineup for a while, and most of these songs have been out for a little while as well, and I have heard snippets of them previously. However, I believe it's 2 of these songs were only released in full a very short time ago, and I don't really know too much about those just yet, which is why I'm sitting here now filming this video. So just bear in mind, this isn't strictly speaking a complete first-time reaction to these tracks. As always, in my own time, I will listen to them in full, and if you want to know which songs are my favourites, do keep an eye on my YouTube channel and other social media pages moving forwards. I should take this opportunity to say, do feel free to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So the lineup is as follows: Tempo by Krust, Let It Burn by Daria Marks, who's tried to represent Poland in the past. Her song is co-written by Peter Bostrom, who knows a thing or two about writing tracks for Melody Festivalen, certainly. Hold the Light by Dominik Dudek. His song is co-written by Teja, part of Teja and Selena, who represented Austria in Liverpool 2 years ago. Gaia by Justyna Steczkowska, who represented her country 30 years ago this year. Pray by Kuba Szmajkowski, also tried to represent Poland in the past. Can't Hide by Marien. Rumours by Sonia Masilik. Lusterka by Svada and Nikshos. Apologies. And Miracle by Tinsky. Sarah James, who did quite well for herself at Junior Eurovision a few years ago, was set to be part of this lineup, but that ended up not being the case. We know that Krust will open the Polish selection with their song, and Dominik Dudek will close it. Now, the video that I'm about to watch won't be in the bottom corner of the video you're watching, but that's the way it usually is. It's by Euro David, and this is their top 10. So do bear that in mind. Poland, of course, debuted in 1994, finishing second in Dublin with Tony Ja, which remains their best result at the competition to date. Over the past decade, we've had In the Name of Love in Vienna 2015, which, if you ask me, and I'm being very honest here, I think it is one of the most boring, forgettable Eurovision tracks in the entire history of the competition, and how it even qualified in the first place is beyond me. In 2016 we had Colour of Your Life. Not a bad song, not a bad performance, but my word, that score from the public was massively surprising to me at the time. The diaspora was clearly out in force. I don't think it was that amazing, but obviously Poland did finish in the top 10, which is a very impressive result. In 2017 in Kyiv we had Flashlight by Kasia Mosh. Not the most memorable track there either, the person pretending to play the violin. In 2018 we had Gromi and Lukas Meyer. Not a bad up-tempo sort of party song. Didn't qualify, that surprised me at the time. The competition was in Lisbon that year, of course. The DJ doing these moves at the back of the stage, it was all a little bit awkward. In 2019 we had Tulia with Fire of Love, Pali Shea. Bit of a static performance, but not a bad song at all, and arguably should have made the cut. In 2020, we had Alicia with Empires, not a bad ballad at all. In 2021, we had Rafał with The Ride, a bit of a cheap, poppy sort of number, didn't qualify, bit of an awkward performance. In 2022, we had Ochman with River, some dodgy on-screen effects, but a great vocalist and a very credible result in the end in Turin. In Liverpool, we had Solo by Blanca, a lot of controversy surrounding her selection through the national final at the time, but she went to Eurovision and got a top 10 result with the public, even though a lot of people were saying the song was subpar, pretty poor, not brilliant. She still got the points. And then last year we had Luna with The Tower, going for this sort of chess theme on stage. It was a little bit cluttered, a little bit messy. I didn't think it was that amazing vocally either, and in the end she didn't qualify. So can Poland bounce back? Now, I've got to be honest with you, I think this could be a very, very convincing winner for one person in particular. But as always, I will give you my honest thoughts on what I'm hearing. Here we go. It's just under 3 minutes long. Poland have never won. Could that change in Basel? Yes. Let's crack on. So first up is Marien with Can't Hide. Beautiful woman. But it's a pretty ordinary track, to be honest with you. I have heard a snippet of this one previously. It feels like it could be in any national final, to be honest with you. MGP, DMGP. It feels fairly basic, but it's not bad. Tinsky. A long-haired chap. Again, it feels fairly basic. Now, that's not a bad thing. Some people really don't mind basic, somewhat unoriginal music. They really don't. That sort of stuff can do well at Eurovision. It really can. But I just don't think Marienne's song or Tinsky's track are competitive enough. I really don't. We move on to Kuba with Pray. In this red suit, bit of a heartthrob figure. This has some momentum, but I think it needs more. I think it needs a bit more gusto, and the live performance might give us that. So I think he might be up there, but I don't think he's winning this selection at all. Number 7 is Sonia. Her voice sounds very familiar to somebody else, and I can't quite think who. But this is a very credible pop effort. Again, I'm not sure it's the most competitive. Feels like it could be a Dua Lipa track, on one of her albums or something. At least to me. Anyway, next up is Daria. Well, I haven't heard this properly, so I'm going into this one quite blind. Okay, it's a diva-esque power ballad. Okay, I'm immediately thinking that could do well if it were to go to Eurovision. That could do well in the jury vote should it make the final. But otherwise, it's a bit of a running theme here. I'm just not sure it's quite competitive enough. I think there's other songs here that have a little bit more about them. And we are getting closer to them. Yeah, next up is Janusz. Feels a bit cheesy, I'm afraid. I'm very tempted to say that might be the most disappointing song of the entire batch. Can't really say much else about it. I don't think it'll live long in the memory, but he sounds like an alright singer. Okay. Next up is Dominic, who is a very serious contender for the win. Yeah, I'm looking at this. This could do really well in the UK. It's the sort of thing that I think could be played on British radio, could do well in the singles chart. Very easy to go along with, a very solid effort. Wouldn't mind it at Eurovision. Yeah, it's quite a polished track, and I think maybe this will hold people's attention a little bit more than, say, what Tinsky is bringing to the table. I don't know. Feel free to let me know if you're Polish. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, number 3 is Krust with Tempo. This is very different. It's a real mishmash of sounds and imagery. It's a little bit chaotic. It's the sort of thing that Eurovision fans will really appreciate. But if it was to go to Eurovision and make the final, obviously most people watching Eurovision on the night are not massive Eurovision fans. They won't have followed national finals or anything necessarily. So they might be really put off by this different sound. You know, it sort of happened with Norway last year. Sometimes it can be appreciated, but I don't know. Sometimes you're treading that fine line between people really responding to what you're bringing to the table and people being put off by it. This is not bad, though. You've got to praise the originality. Next up is Lusterka. Now, I believe this song is really popular in Poland, and it's not actually in Polish. It's in Podlachian, which is a micro-language based on the East Slavic dialects spoken by inhabitants of the southern part of Podlachian province. Okay. There we go. So I think a lot of people who maybe live in those areas where this language is spoken will be voting in droves for this one. So it's a very serious contender. I mean, I'm not sure it's really my cup of tea, but I can see it on the Eurovision stage. I really can. So I wouldn't be mad if this won the Polish selection. I really wouldn't. Because you know as well as I do, there ain't going to be anything else like this at the contest. Whereas if, for example, with all due respect, if Poland sent Marianne, which they're not going to do in my opinion, but if they were to pick her, you know there's probably going to be 2 or 3 other songs that might be a little bit similar to what she's bringing to the competition. Whereas this track here, Lusterka, is its own thing. Yeah, I just don't know whether I'd be truly engaged with it. And then Justina's first. Yeah, it's quite powerful. It's got quite a strident beat. But I don't think it's my favourite here. I'm not going to say it's overrated, but when I saw her list in the lineup, I thought, we know who's winning this. I think really her only competition is this song here, Lusterka. I'm not sure anybody else can do it. Maybe Dominic. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a terribly strong batch. I really wouldn't. But it's also not terribly poor. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm not really sure what my favourite is at all. I will have to check out the songs in full in my own time. Daria's song, I have to say, is disappointing me a bit. Dominic might end up being my favourite, even though that might feel like a pretty safe choice for Poland at Eurovision. I think they're probably going to go with Justina and perhaps in big numbers. But let me know what you think about this Polish national final lineup. And apologies for rambling. I'll be back shortly with another Eurovision 2025 related video. Until then, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.